In its previous part, we saw that the planet Arrakis, i.e. Dune, was under the control of the Harkonnen family. Its leader Baron, who is a villain, had become richer than the Emperor by mining the mineral spice found on that planet. Actually, spice was an element that was found in the sand of Arrakis. It had advanced life force. With the power to increase people's mental ability and its energy, people could travel from one planet to another. So Emperon ordered the leader Duke of Caladan planet to take charge of the planet Arrakis. His planet had plenty of greenery and water, but there was only sand. On reaching Arrakis, the people there called Paul, their son, as Messiah. Like his mother Lady Jessica, he could manipulate anyone with his voice. Along with that, he had visions. They were also a part of her mother's power. After the entire planet was destroyed, Baron Sardaukar along with his clan attacked Arrakis to regain control of it. Duke was killed in that attack and Harkonnen family took Jessica and Paul hostage and started taking them to their planet. Both of them manipulated the soldiers with their voices and made them kill each other and escaped from their captivity. Then both of them meet the Free Man, a core tribe of the planet Arrakis and its leader Stilgar. Due to the mineral spice of that planet, the eyes of all those people had become blue. There Paul finds Chani. This was the same girl whom Paul always saw in his visions. Now after that every Kaunon family attacked Arrakis in one night and destroyed the entire Atreides mine and burned their corpses without any witness evidence. Having regained control of the city, the Baron declares his nephew Rabban as its ruler. This event silenced Emperor Saddam IV and stunned his daughter Princess Irulan. While north of Arrakis, Paul has a vision of his sister's fetus in his mother Jessica's womb. Paul tells her about their father's death and his fear of not being able to fix everything before she was born. In order to take over the rest of the planet, Rabban's soldiers have descended into the deep desert to the north and are searching for the Freemen. But the Freemen, along with Lady Jessica, cleverly kill the Harkonnen soldiers and extract their bodily fluids and feed their corpses to giant sandworms. Seeing his army disappearing like this, the advisor of the army of every law in the capital asks Rabban to take some rest. On this, Rabban beats him and angrily orders his army to kill them all quickly. Here, Stilgar along with his people, Paul and Jessica come to Sea Hatch, a cave built by the Freeman community. Actually, Sea Hatch was built to gather and hold meetings in times of danger. On reaching there, Paul and Jessica come to know that the people there have mixed feelings about them. Some believed in the prophecy that a mother and her son would bring happiness and prosperity to Arrakis, and for this reason they considered Paul their Messiah. But most of the young people believed that both of them were spies. Now the Freeman's core community asks to hand over Paul to the desert so that the desert can decide his fate. But they do not take any decision regarding Jessica. Freeman wanted to reach the Emperor with the help of the people. He had to take revenge for his father. Then Stilgar calls Jessica alone and shows her the water filled in his cave and says that we have no shortage of water. We have this much water in thousands of places and our Messiah will bring back a green paradise here with this. He also tells us that our revered mother of the cave is dying. That is why he asks Jessica to take her place, because she is a Bene Gesserit who has secret mental powers and can easily understand the prophecies. So Jessica accepts this proposal and informs Paul about this and tells him to participate in this ritual. I will be given the sorrow and pain of all the previous revered mothers, which I will have to bear. Then the ritual of Jessica becoming a revered mother begins. She is brought in front of her revered mother and is forcibly given a liquid, which they call the water of life. Actually, it is a deadly poison. If any man except the Messiah drinks it, he will die immediately. Outside the cave, Paul learns that Chani and his companions believe that Paul being the Messiah is nothing but the beliefs of the people of the South. Paul asks Chani the reason for Stilgar's belief in him. Chani tells him that it is because he himself is from the South. Here in the cave, Jessica starts writhing in pain as soon as she drinks the water of life, but then her revered mother comes to know about it. She is pregnant and the burning of life has awakened the brain of the baby growing in her womb prematurely, and only Paul knew that his mother was pregnant. The reason for Jessica surviving even after drinking poison is completely convinced by Still and his companions. This is a miracle and the prophecy was absolutely correct, but Chani and his companions are still not ready to believe the prophecy. That is why they start arguing among themselves. Alpul stops them and says that this is not a miracle, but her mother was educated from the beginning to tolerate poison, and I am not a messiah. I have not come here to lead you but to learn your ways. Let me fight with you. Hearing this, Chandni calms down. But Stilgar and his people still had no doubt about his being the Messiah. Then Paul's mother tells him, "Your sister has started talking to me already. She has full faith in you and you are just one step away from your destination, and by drinking the water of life you will be able to see everything clearly." After that, Stilgar brings Paul to the desert to teach him the ways of war and tells him about the dangers there and asks him to survive for a few days. So Chani teaches him how to walk on sand and how to survive in the desert. She started to care for Paul. One day the Conan family comes to their area for mining, which leads to a fight between the free men and them. Paul saves Chani from the attack and with her and the free men's help destroys the entire machinery and army of the enemies. So Stilgar. Seeing Paul's bravery, they give him the names of Usul and Muaib. Usul means the base of a pillar and Muaib means a kangaroo rat that survives in the desert. They now consider Paul as a part of their community. Chani also shows respect towards him and tells him her free name is Siaya, which means spring of the desert. The two grow increasingly attracted to each other and kiss. Paul joins forces with the freemen to thwart the Harkon spice mining operations several times, causing the Baron to warn his nephew Rabban of a decline in production. Meanwhile, Paul has a vision, which he shares with Chani, telling him that if he goes south, he will follow a path shown by someone, due to which a terrible war will start, due to which millions of people will die of hunger. After that, Paul calls the Ziz sandworm and rides it. It was the largest sandworm ever. Seeing it, another thing of the prophecy is proved true, as it asks to spread this everywhere so that every free man joins Paul and they can go towards the south where people already believe the prophecy to be true. The freemen then prepared to take their revered mother Jessica south, but Paul refuses to go with them, fearing war will break out as soon as they arrive there. Before leaving, Paul's unborn sister advises Paul not to fall in love with anyone but to reserve himself for political alliances. Paul sees the face of the woman he followed during the war in the south, who was his mother, Jessica. Paul continues his fight in the north, and when the spice warehouse is blown up by Rabban, he manages to escape with his life. On the other hand, the emperor and his daughter believed that Paul was killed along with the Atreides family. But Mother Muhammad tells the princess that if Paul is alive, then he knows the truth. It was the emperor's plan to stop him from coming to the family. And if he reveals this to the other families, then the emperor will face challenges and he will have to lose his power. But to stop this, we have to find out that the Baron's other nephew is the real Paul. How can we control who will become the next ruler of Arrakis? Meanwhile, Rotha proves his worth to the Baron by fighting in a bloody gladiator match. When the Baron fails, he declares Rotha to be the ruler of Arrakis in his place. Mother Muhim then sends a Bene Gesserit named Margaret to take Rotha's weakness and conceive his essence in an embryo. Margaret succeeds in her task and informs Mother Campaign that Rotha can be sexually controlled. Meanwhile, on Arrakis, Paul's father's friend and arms trainer Hailed tries to steal the spice in collusion with smugglers. Paul recognizes him in a fight with the free men and takes him with him. Paul confronts him about his lack of weapons. Hal takes him and the Freeman to the location where Paul's father had hidden nuclear weapons capable of destroying the entire planet. Jessica is preaching about the arrival of the Messiah in the form of Pojiyama in the south, and Paul nearly stops spice mining in the north. The princess was also aware of this. She had already known. Both these things are pointing towards war. Here, in front of Jessica, the water of life is taken out from inside a small sandworm after submerging it in water and killing it, and is given to her. So as she says, very soon a man will come here. Save this to give to him, stay here. He attacks the sea hatch and destroys it. Just then the South's War Council calls all the leaders for a meeting, so Stilgar asks Paul to go to the south in his place because he is injured. But Paul refuses to go because of the fear of destruction that he had seen in the vision of the war. Also, he knew, Chani's death is certain there. Then the spirits of the desert tell Paul to drink the water of life because it is only with its power that he will be able to see the future clearly. So they leave one of Chani's friends there and head towards the south. Rotha comes to see Yacht and kills him. On reaching the south, Paul drinks the water of life. And in a coma, Paul sees his sister who is young on the seashore on the same planet. She also tells him some deep secrets of the family. Then Chani also reaches the same monastery and sees Paul has died due to drinking poison, so Stilgar tells Chani that Paul is a messiah and only the tears of the desert spring can bring him back to life. Then with the manipulation of Zesiga, Chani mixes her tears with the water of life and applies it on Paul's lips. Then Paul becomes alive again. Seeing him, everyone bows before him, believing him to be the Messiah of truth. Then Paul says to his mother, "Are you the Baron's daughter?" "My father knew about this." Then Jessica says, "I also came to know about this when I drank the water of life." Paul already knew. He is a Harkonnen, not Atreides. Then Paul appears before the entire Freeman community and his mother, where he is asked to kill Stilgar and take his place. Paul breaks this tradition, reveals their past, and declares himself the Messiah, taking everyone to heaven. Everyone supports him except Chani. He sends a challenge to the Emperor by stamping his father's ring signature. The princess finds out that the suggestion to destroy the Atreides family was from Mother Muhim because she already knew. In the coming time, the emperors will be removed from their throne and then the rule of Atreides will be established. But the emperor's family should remain on the throne. That is why the princess will have to marry the person who will sit on the throne. This was Mother Muhim's plan. Then the emperor comes to Arrakis with the princess and Mother Muhim due to the challenge. Paul and his people plan the war strategy. The emperor asks the Baron who challenged him. Then he is unable to tell anything to the emperor. On this the emperor says, "Duke is alive and you did not even find him." Then he destroys Baron's supply support system. Then a huge sandstorm arises. But the mountains stop it, so Paul attacks the mountain with a nuke and gives way to the sandstorm to enter the battlefield, and he himself sits on the sandworm with the people and attacks Baron and his army of supporters from the other direction. Then Paul's infantry attack from the third direction. After that Paul comes to the Baron's throne room and calls Baron grandfather in front of everyone and kills him and takes everyone else prisoner and asks his men to bring all the prisoners to the residency, and on Paul's order, he leaves Hal with his men. He destroys the entire army of the Baron and kills Rabban as well. Then the free men burn all the bodies of the enemies just like they had burned the Atreides. Here in the residency, all the prisoners and the emperor are brought. Paul tells Chani, "I will love only you as long as I am alive," and after that he introduces himself to the emperor and tells him that if any of the other great houses attack us, then they will destroy all the spice reserves in the area. He will blow him up. Then he tells the emperor, "I will marry your daughter and rule with her." Hearing this, Chani is heartbroken and then challenges the emperor to choose his champion. Then Rotha comes in front of him and fights with Paul and stabs him in the stomach. Then Paul kills Rotha with the same knife. Then Paul moves towards the emperor and the princess tells him to spare my father's life. I will marry you and the throne will be yours. On this, Paul extends his hand. The emperor bows down and kisses Paul's father's ring and accepts his defeat. On this, Chani leaves from there. Harlech tells Paul, all the other great families have not accepted your supremacy, so Paul orders his army to move towards heaven. Then Paul's unborn sister asks Jessica what is happening, mother. Then Jessica tells her that your brother has waged a war against the great families. This is the beginning of a great and holy war. Chani leaves everyone and goes back alone towards the north, and this story ends here. I hope you all liked this explanation, and to listen to more movie explanations, please like and subscribe to our channel, and also do not forget to press the bell icon.